morning and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, Anne, and Disembodied Hands, Quindy, along with her devoted minions, Justin and John. How are you all today? You still don't have coffee? Cursed, what's wrong? Just yell louder. So, you're pulling a Luca? Is that it? Hello. You don't like coffee? I do not. I do like coffee, but coffee does not like me. So I'm with you, Cursed. I had tea this morning. I'm finishing up the last of my holiday tea. So I had a pumpkin spice black tea this morning. And then actually I've gone outside of holiday for holiday teas because I always try to buy one of the new holiday teas if I see one. And Bigelow did an eggnog. I think I mentioned an eggnoggin tea. And I tried it over Christmas, and I really love it. So I just bought a box of 6 boxes. So I'm going to be drinking eggnog tea for the next several months. But it's really good. So yes, it's a black tea also. Hello, Miss Dimp. Good morning, and thank you for the resub 37. One above the song level. One above the song level. Indeed. Yeah, I like the smell of coffee, and I like, as long as the coffee has adequate creamer and sugar in it, adequate coconut milk, I should say, and sugar or sugar substitute in it, I'm happy. But yeah, I've never done black coffee. I've never been able to. My coffees are always albino and sweetened. So, well, you could Shadow Raven. I mean, it is totally, I think, an alcohol ad-friendly tea flavor for sure. Although then you're crossing the streams, right? The caffeine and the alcohol as far as the stimulant and depressant. I tried never to do that. I was never into that. It kind of messes with your body. And I don't like to mess with my body any more than I already do in the course of things. Yep, yeah, I just ordered the eggnog tea from Amazon, actually. That's where I got it. It just came yesterday, just in time, because I had just used my last tea bag the day before. I have it, usually it's my my post-power nap. Post-power nap, I always have a cup of tea to get myself going, and so that was my post-power nap tea. But yeah, it's actually, I find it really tasty. It's kind of nutmeggy. It's like, it does remind you of eggnog. Like, it actually does have those flavors, and I think it's got to be like vanilla and nutmeg. It's really, I really like it. So... oh, yeah, Thormel. Dear me. I used to pull that. I was so caffeinated in college. Oh my gosh, I don't even want to think about it. All right, so what do we want to do today? Do you guys want to work on some gold, or do you want to keep going on the blue? What's your, or should we start on the steel? What do you think? Tell me what you think, peeps. What are you feeling like watching today? I'll leave it up to you. Oh, I've got a Kiki. Kiki, want to come up? She just brought me her bully stick. Oh, good girl. Good bully. Yeah, good bully stick. Good girl. No, I'm not going to take it from you. Nope. She's like, I don't want to stick my head up into the stream. Nope. Maybe later. Gold, because it's very elaborate gold, right? It's a very elaborate belt buckle and elaborate shoulder piece. So, all right, we can do some gold. Let's see here. What do I want to do? I think I want to experiment a little. I was just thinking I wanted on my Sisters of Battle piece that I'm priming today, I want to do a more reddish gold, like a really deeper gold. So maybe we'll play... Oh, the pastels aren't working for you? Oh, I love them. But I don't know. Actually, that does bring up a good point with the pastels. Maybe I don't want to go for a very reddish gold because it's going to clash a bit with that. So, yeah, I mean, you either like pastels or you don't, and if you don't like them on this figure, that's fine. This was my opportunity to do pastels because people kept asking me how to do pastels. So, I'm sorry you don't like it. Yeah, chat voted on the pastels, I think. Yeah, and I wanted to go like this again we were doing. But you can do, I mean, this is just like, you could do whatever you want, right? This is just what I've chosen to do. I'm very happy with it. I think he looks good. But now I have to think about my gold. Maybe I will try the more reddish gold, but I'll keep an eye on it and see if I feel like it's gone too far. I do need to differentiate it from the skin. I don't know how yellow I want it. But yeah, we may need to actually mute it a little bit to make it work with everything else. So, that's a good thought. That's a good thought. Yeah, well, it's just like I decided the place was on this model. And you wouldn't have. But I mean, this is just the way it is. Like, and this happens with art all the time, right? I mean, David will walk into an art gallery with me and he'll be like, I'll be like, oh, I like this one. And he'll be like, oh, I like it except that the moonlight isn't right. Or I like it except that I hate that they used green here, you know. So it's totally cool to not like something I do on a figure, especially when it's as idiosyncratic as this figure, which is, you know, we don't often paint all like manly men in pastels, but you know, today it just I don't know, this figure to me. Like if I did it, actually, if I did it again, I might have gone with, because I did dawn colors for my other Ginny, I might have gone with the undercoat pink to yellow thing and done them in yellow. But the thing I love about using dark skin tones is that so many of the lighter and brighter colors look really good with them. So, all right, I'm debating. We're gonna do a little bit of a different NMM, I think. I think we're gonna use the oxide brown and brown liner and see what I can get from that. So yeah, let's do something different. Let's do something very different for our NMM. And this is just like, honestly, guys, like you can do so much, like. NMM, you can come at gold NMM from so many different directions. That's funny. But yeah, to each their own. And yeah, you don't have to like my take on a figure. That's cool. I am secure enough in my paint foo, I don't know, that people can dislike what I do and I'm okay with it. There was not always that time. There was a time when I definitely was a very people pleaser like painter, and if one of my friends really didn't like the direction of my mini, I would change it. But this one kind of tickles me, so. All right, so I'm doing a 4, and I'm using Ruddy Brown because I have it right to hand, but Oxide Brown is pretty much the same color. They're both pure pigments. This was a secret clear bright, and then when I did the oxides, it replaces those because it got canceled. Brown liner is, of course, you know, just me trying to add a little bit of black to that. You can mix a lot of beautiful browns with Oxide Brown, and I'm going to talk about that more this month on my Patreon on the PDF for the $10 tier, where we're going to be mixing leather colors. So I'm going to be doing that. I may actually do something funky for $10 tier and not only do the PDF, or not only do a video, but do a PDF, like do both. Do like a companion PDF. I haven't done it for a while, but I feel like that would be the topic to do it for. So that's funny, Koenig. And you're Scottish. If anybody knows, like, you know, like that's the stereotype, right, of over here in America is like Scottish men or manly men. Yeah, the 70s is all about pastels. Napoleonic era, too, like Napoleonic France. Men wore pastels. Pink was an in color for men. It just varies. You know, and follow your bliss, people. Like, every time I look at this mini, I giggle a little. And I love that. So, you know, and this is one where I'll be like, Jason gets to choose between this one and Fishy Guy. Mr. Weeby. So when I send this model to ReaperCon next year, or when I go to ReaperCon next year, I will be offering him the choice, and I'm interested to see which one he picks. All right, so Oxide Brown is very reddish. It's a very reddish brown. If you add black to it, you can tone it down a bit. And in this case, I'm just adding the liner. I'm going to go and mix a color coming up from that's really, really vibrant. Even he isn't manly enough. That's funny. Okay, the Barbie Pink Audi is awesome. Kuriko, like, thumbs up on that. Well, this genie guy, he's about it, so what you gonna do? Maybe his mom dressed him like that. I don't know. All right, so now we're going to do a weird thing. Since this is a lot, it's very reddish. We're going to do this and we're going to add some lantern yellow to it to make an orangey base for our gold. I'm experimenting. This is all just experimentation. I haven't actually used these colors for NMN before. I'm just like, you know, this should work. This should work. Right, Paul? Hi, are you ready? Are you ready to come up and say hi to peoples, or are you just coming for pets? Oh, just coming for pets. You're immense. Have I mentioned that? So Kiki is having a pretty good day today, I think. David didn't think so because she jumped at 3 different people on the walk and scared them. We have some people who are definitely not dog people in our neighborhood. And there are a lot of people who smile and really like Kiki, and there are definitely people who just do not want the dog contact, which is good. Kiki needs to learn. But David was upset, and I was like, well, this is just another thing that if you're a responsible dog owner, this is what we do, and we're going to have to refocus her on us so that she doesn't jump at people, which is a pretty simple thing to do. You just have to stay alert and notice when a person is coming. But yeah, it's Kiki's latest hiccup. We'll just call it that. So I'm going to show you guys the colors that I'm mixing here. Let me move Mr. Ginny over here. Well, I don't think I'm going to be hospitalized over this, but I could be wrong, you know. And here's the Kiki emoji. So there's my, it's a little bit of oxide, it's 4 drops of oxide brown with a drop of brown liner, so it's dimmed it down a bit. But then this is oxide brown with lantern yellow. So you can see it's very orangey. It's a very kind of rich color. I like that a lot. I'm going to work with that. Yeah, it needs a Scritches recharge, exactly. Jumbo pupper. That's good. We should use that. Right, that's true, Inara. That's true. And fair enough. Yeah, she's just need, like, the good way to train away from that is to, when you see the thing coming that the dog wants to chase or jump at or whatever, you reorient her to you and give her treats. And so before she gets so close that she'll fixate, you need to go, you know, do her name, and then, like, you know, keep her attention on you with a treat while the person goes by, and then, you know, just feed her a few treats as they walk by. And then not only does that mean that when she sees a person coming, she'll probably start looking at you for a treat, it also means that she's associating with people coming near her with treats. So it's a double good. It's a double good because it teaches your dog that strangers going by is a good thing because they get treats, and it also teaches them to look at you for a treat when somebody walks by that they otherwise might jump on. So it's really a double awesome is really what it is. Yes, pink is an underrated color. That's why we've occasionally used it here. That's why I used to use it on things for Reaper that Ron always hated it. All right, so these are really transparent colors as I've thinned them. I probably shouldn't have thinned them quite as much. I think, though, that's pretty good. I think I'm going to start here. I am going to mix up another puddle of lantern with 1 drop of the oxide brown and add a bit of white to it and see what that looks like. And then I'll talk a little bit about what I'm doing here, creating this NMM pentad. 1 drop of oxide, and we'll mix that up. And then we'll add a white to it. I'm going to move this down and compare this to what I'd normally do. Yeah, that's a bit more. So, here, Jeannie. I'm sorry, but you're too big. You're too big, Jeannie. So, there isn't a lot. You can see this is definitely punchier. In fact, if you look at these 2 colors, what do they remind you of? Maybe rich leather and polished leather? Could that be intentional? You know. So essentially, there's not a lot between these. This one is 2 drops of the ruddy and like 2 to 3 drops of the lantern. This is 4 drops of lantern, 1 drop of ruddy. But since this has to be a highlight color, I'm going to add a drop of white to it. So what I've done is mix what I normally do with these. You guys normally see me just use, like, you know, rich leather, russet brown, brown liner, right? So I've mixed a color that's kind of similar to rich leather, but different. My russet brown, instead of that, I'm using the oxide brown plus black, which gives it a more red tone. And then I'm still using brown liner. Now here, instead of just adding, remember, normally I would just take my rich leather and I would add additional yellow and white. So instead, I just mixed a color that has a little less of the brown in it and added, so it had more yellow and white. So I'm still doing the same kind of transition thing. And then my final highlight on the gold is going to have to be a real rich yellow. So I'm going to just do my lantern, throw some white in it, and do that. I could also just use candlelight if I wanted a shortcut. Candlelight does have a little bit more red in it, but it would work. Oh, Belgian Malinois. That's really funny. They're fun. They are funny dogs, man. They are so handful. So handful. There's a Belgian Malinois whose owner wants to have him play with Kiki next time we see them in the park. All right, so we'll do that. We'll do that. So then our triad looks more like this, and it's very rich. It's much richer of color, much less washed out. So we'll see how it works. That's funny, Shadow Raven. All right, so we'll do a proof of concept pretty much on this area and the knee. What do I want to do today? Where is I'll use the Winsor & Newton today. Yeah, Belgian Malinois are like Kiki on steroids. Like, Kiki has a lot in common, like just her energy level and her drive level. She has a lot in common with Mals. The Malinois is the new military dog of choice, by the way. They also use some Dutch Shepherds, which are very similar to the Malinois as far as drive and temperament. But they've gone away from using German Shepherds. And although they haven't said as much straight out, I kind of suspect it was for health reasons. But you never know. Maybe they just weren't having success with Shepherds for some reason, with GSDs. But yeah, Malinois is the new dog. Or they decide they want a smaller dog, because Malinois are smaller than German Shepherds usually. And Dutch Shepherds are also. So maybe that's it. I don't know, but my military dogs stamp still has Dutch Shepherd, Belgian Malinois, German Shepherd, and Labrador Retriever on it. The Lab's definitely for search sniff dogs. All the better to show off your pasty skin. So I'm just going to take the brown liner and I'm going to go and just kind of outline around some of these areas. And I'm definitely going to be paying attention to shadow areas underneath things, like under the nose, underneath these brows, stuff like that. My light is a little bit too intense over this side, so I'm going to go that way. There we go. It's a little more even. But I'm also going to use this for not just shading, but a bit of lining, so like between the teeth. So even though it's NMM, do your lining. You're probably going to have a little shadow between areas of metal anyway, especially looking top to bottom. So just pop in a little bit of shadow here and there. And doing the lining also will give you more contrast when you start to do any dog that can jump over a full-size man. Yep. Oh yeah, yeah, Springers for sure. Very bouncy. Yeah, the Malinois is much more scary than the German Shepherd, in my opinion. Like, if you want to help a puppy, get a Malinois. Like, look up videos. Like, After, I forget which movie it was, but there was a movie with a Belgian Malinois in it, and of course then everybody decides they want one. There were a lot of videos on YouTube about why you should not get a Belgian Malinois puppy. There are some very entertaining, very entertaining videos out there. It's like, do you want this 24/7? And the dog is essentially chasing a steel food bowl around the kitchen on the tile with immense, like, loudness and, like, furiously attacking it. And it's like an 8-week-old puppy. I mean, most American humans are kind of couch potato-y, let's just face it. And that's the opposite. Like, Kiki really tests David and I. Because we're not potatoes. We do, like, I walk twice a day and do my yoga and stretches. And David, you know, he bikes to work. And, you know, so we're not total potatoes. But Kiki is a bit much for both of us. Like, it'll be better when she is older and a little calmer, but she was a little bit outside what our comfort zone would have been. We would have been happier with a calmer pup, for sure. And Malinois just takes that and pushes it to, like, level 11. Yeah. I just need to make some Malinois and Labs. That's nice. I think Malinois are beautiful dogs. They're beautiful, functional, athletic dogs, which I do love. It's just I know that it's a little bit too much for me. Gives me new appreciation for the people who actually took when we did the Belgian Tervuren outcross, the people with those dogs. I was talking with one of them the other day over email, and she told me some stories. I'm like, holy crap. Like, that was more dog than I would want. Probably more dog than I could handle. Happily, anyway. All right, so we've got a bit of lining on down here, so that's good. It's a good start. I gave Kiki a new bully stick before we started the stream, so she is happily chewing in the other room. I can hear her. Okay. Got our happy little face all outlined. Let's get the knee pad just because we can. I think I'll do the knee pad first and then go to the face. And land shark. Yep. Yeah, totally. Especially Belgian puppies. Totally land shark. That's why I was listening to an interview with a guy who used to work for the U.S. military in their dog breeding operation and dog training operation in Texas. And they mostly train scent detection dogs, and that's why he trains he trains people to do their dog in nose work now, to take their dog in nose work, and he also does some limited, like, military police training. But he mentioned that it was mostly, like, Belgians and stuff like that. And he also said that when a dog failed out of the program, they tried to find usually a law enforcement or ex-law enforcement family to place the dog with, because they are such land sharks. They're such a handful. But usually a military or police family would know how to deal with the dog. And actually one of my harder puppies from Kiri's litter with Piston, or Kiri's second litter, he went to a family with where the dad was an active police officer. All right, so you've got a nice outline there. That's one thing about being in Texas is, like, I found that a lot of people really did know how to deal with big dogs, which was nice. All righty. So we got a nice line around the knee pad. We got a nice line up here. Even just that crisps everything up nicely. So let's look at, you can kind of see where the highlight should be, right? If you look at this paint is matte and not shiny, but you can kind of see there should be a really bright highlight up here with a little bit of a shadow, and then there should be another highlight here on the knee, right, with this rounded area. So let's just paint what we see. Let's just paint what we see. First I need some white, though. Hard to paint an MM without white, folks. Oh, it's actually it's cloudy and partly sunny today. First time we've seen the sun in a few days. But my allergies are going because of all the rain that we had. All the mold in the air. Me and mold spores don't get along. Well, and they want that in a dog, right? With a dog, you need you need a dog that's got a lot of energy and drive and purpose and to do work, right? To be a working dog. A couch potato just doesn't work for you. If the dog poops out and doesn't want to do a search, halfway through the day, you can't have that. So you need a dog that's always ready to go, go, go. And that is more dog than most Americans want, if they're honest with themselves. Back in the day when we were all like doing professions like farming and, hunting and doing all sorts of stuff that required our dogs to go, go, go all day, then it was different. But nowadays, most of us require our dogs to lie around all day and not bother us while we work. Yep, allergy pill time. There you go. Hey, Agent Marvel. Okay, so as we can see on the knee here, we can see exactly where we should put that highlight. I'm just going to kind of block it in a little bit. Hi there. Hi, Paw. How's it going? You want to say hi to the stream? No, you just want Pettins. Pettins recharge. Pettins recharge. Hi, Wags. Hi, Wags. Good girl. Her head is so huge. Like, the rest of her, I'm like, well, you're okay. You're a good medium-sized dog, but her head is immense. Kiki's head is out of proportion right now. Your head, you have a 45 millimeter head on a 28 millimeter body. Good girl. Good girl, Keeks. No, you cannot eat my paint, okay? No, no paint. Nope. Nope. Are you going to go settle for me? Yeah, you're snoodling around. No, you cannot eat that paint either. No, no, no. That's Mama's. Paints are always Mama's, Pa. That's it. That's enough. Hi, you. You just want a toy, huh? Yeah. Pardon me. Puppy in the way. I might have to take her out and give her a chew. How's your bully stick? Did you eat it? Did you completely consume it? What is with you? You're such a puppy. You're such a puppy. Hi. Hi, puppy. Can you get out of there, please? Okay, back up, Papa. Yeah, good girl. Good girl. No, yeah, I can't play with you. Nope, gotta work. Oh, no. Okay, now we're exiling the papa. Hold on, everybody. Exile imminent. Where's your pig ears? Where's your pig ears, huh? Are they around? Are they around? Oh, you have boys. Are you ready? Chew it right next to me if you want. I mean, everybody will hear your chewing noises, but you can. You can. If you want to chew it next to Mama, you can. All right. We'll see. Good girl, you can chew. She's like, nope, Mama's going back to work. Boring. Boring. Yeah, exactly, Shadow Raven. Hey, Kodiak, thank you. Thank you for the 10-month resub. Yeah. Just so she can jump on my head, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, Bengal, yeah, Half wildcat, yeah, right. Yeah, I always wondered about that. It's like, all right, let us do a little bit of this reddish color now in the shadows. I'm going to just do a little bit here, and I'm going to put, I remember I needed a shadow right under that white, so I'm going to trim up the white a little bit by using this red brown as a shadow. I'll probably go in with more, but since the highlight down here on the knee is very close to the highlight up here, I'm going to probably just blend them with a little bit of a shadow between, a little bit of that red. Yeah, when I had my last kitten, I was just like, there's the hell fur stage, and the hell fur stage was enough to convince me that I was not going to get another cat right away. Okay, so that's more like my base coat. That color that I was just testing, my middle color, and it is a lot like the rich leather. It's just a little bit more vibrant, but it's not really going to show when I put it over the rich leather base coat. So, but my next color, which has the white in it, I'm going to try to keep this as a rounded or oval. Oh yeah, she's chomping that pig ear. I hear it. Kind of like, just like we saw. I'm going to extend the highlight out here. Now for a rounded surface like this, you could really do a couple of like accent highlights a little bit, like break it up. So you have your main highlight, and then you've got these side highlights. You kind of try to blend some of these in. Then add some white to these guys. So you've kind of got like a moving highlight, so to speak, so that you don't have a solid strip across the entire top. And they aren't necessarily the exact same level of highlight, but I could use a little bit more. I think I could use just a little bit more water in this mix. Now we'll be bringing this yellow color up a bit more too. This is the 4 drops of lantern yellow, 1 drop oxide brown, 1 drop of white. It's the first highlight essentially. And I'm going to have also an under reflection too that's going to be coming up here, so I need to figure out how that's going to go. Now as the knee is turned under, you're probably not going to see a lot of that under reflection. There we got a little bit of it. All right, and I think I went too far down with that. So rounded surfaces, you want to make sure your highlight is rounded, just like the surface. Yeah, it's almost time for Kiki to wear her heart monitor. We're waiting for it to get to us in the mail, and then I need to make the vet appointment. Probably need to call them today. Because Kiki, we do the heart EKGs on all of our puppies to try to figure out where our arrhythmia disease is hiding. Since it doesn't have any clinical signs to it. So you can have a dog that's affected pretty severely and you don't see any signs. So Kiki will wear her heart monitor for 2 days. And so she'll have a little vest on with the wires and the monitor tucked in, and she'll have little electrodes. And we'll have to shave her fur down a little bit for that. So she'll have strips of fur that she gets, that'll be shaved short on either, behind each shoulder blade. So I usually call them wings. Kiki wishes she really had wings because, oh my God, she loves birds. She wants to chase birds so bad. So just bringing up the highlight a little bit more. I need to make it a little broader. It doesn't matter. Like, it's once the vest is on an R, they really don't, like, we'll be giving her probably a sedative to take her into the vet for the shaving. The vet suggested that because of her, just her energy and the way that she does, you know, tend to like fight it if she doesn't like a thing. So we'll do a little bit of a sedative and she'll get the vest on. But once the vest is on, dogs usually just kind of deal. Like, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's the risk, is usually the dog may try to get a hold of the wires and eat it or try to eat the monitor. And they are not cheap. I mean, $2,500 piece of medical equipment to replace. So you definitely need to supervise your dog. How about that? And hope that they don't chew it while you're asleep. Luckily, I'm a very light sleeper, and at the sound of any weird chewing noises, I will be awake. So I'm adding in more of that reddish brown to try to see if I can get this area to work. Pendrake, we monitor all of our puppies, even pets, because we have an arrhythmia disease in our breed that doesn't show clinical signs, but it can get bad enough to kill a puppy. So we've got to know where it is in order not to breed dogs that are affected to each other. And even not to breed dogs that have affected litter mates with each other, because we don't know the mode of inheritance, but it's real sneaky. So we're very conscientious about breed health. So that means Kiki wears a monitor. Even if Kiki being a breeding dog means Kiki, or a potential breeding dog means Kiki wears a monitor no matter what. But even if Kiki were a pet, I would still do it to verify that she's clear of the arrhythmia. Doesn't mean that they won't produce it, because there's, you know, recessive genes in play apparently as well, but we don't know for sure. That's why we're doing this study with North Carolina State University, to see if we can figure out the mode of inheritance. But we haven't had a lot of luck with that, which means that's probably polygenic. Usually that's where dog DNA studies for diseases break down, just so if you were all wondering. If it's a polygenic disorder, that means more than one gene is involved, and that makes it much, much harder to focus down what you're looking for. Yeah, Nara, I bet. Yeah, it's rough when they really fight you. They don't understand why they have to go. But yeah, so I want to make sure that Kiki does have this disorder in her background pedigree. It's not close. It's a couple generations back, but because it is there, I want to make sure. So far, all of her litter mates have been absolutely clear, like all zeros, no irregular beats whatsoever, but there are still 3 puppies to go. And it's the kind of disease where most litter mates can look clear, and then one dog shows up like affected, and then even the clear dogs have a chance to pass it. So it's really a pain in the butt, and because it's lethal, it's pretty much our public enemy number 1, this disorder. Like, we have a little bit of other stuff. We have a bit of heart murmurs. You know, we have a little bit of EPI, which is an endocrine pancreatic disorder. But in general, Shilohs are fairly healthy. But this arrhythmia disease is just the one that really torques us. We really want to get a handle on it. It's so hard. You can be the best breeder in the world and do the most research you can on the pedigree, but you will still not be able to prevent everything. The roll of the dice will always get you. So I'm kind of looking at the side here, and I'm trying to like create an illusion. One of my cats was good enough to just ride in the car without a crate, but she was just an exception. That was my Abyssinian. She was just a lovely cat. Still my favorite. I think I have a picture of Ishtar somewhere. She was a beautiful Abby. Sadly, I cannot dig out the photo because my phone is on the charger. So we are trying to bring in the main highlight and then some reflections around the back. That's great, Kroniko. And going kind of back and forth with this, just trying to make it, I've got the main highlight, I'm pretty happy with it. I need to finish this and see if I like this gold with the rest of the piece. Doing kind of a lot of blends here just to kind of block stuff in. Messing around with my colors. Yeah, I would never go to a shelter unless I was absolutely ready to pick up a cat. I know some people like to go and like to help with the animals, but I would just be so tempted to bring home every animal. And I have enough of a handful on my hands. The Keekster is not for the faint of heart. I'm sure Kiki would love a kitty to play with, but I'm not convinced the kitty would like the Kiki. It's just a rare thing, I think, to find I got really lucky with my last cat and Kiri. They were best friends. They would play together. It was crazy how they would play. They would chase each other around the house. Big dog, right? Kiri was an 80-pound shepherd dog, and Panther was about a 20-pound. He was a big boy. 20-pound black cat. And he would just leap up onto her neck and use his hind paws against her chest, thump, 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 thump. And then he would fling himself off and run into the other room, and she would chase him into the other room. It was so funny. They were good friends. I miss my Kiri dog. Kiki dog is cute. Kiki dog is a sweetie at times, but I miss my Kier. Oh, I saw, actually, I don't, sadly, because again, my phone is on the charger, I can't show you guys this picture today, but Bridget is down doing a puppy evaluation right now in Texas. And it's where one of my puppy people, one of my old friends who has one of Kiri's daughters is, and they came over to visit, and Bridget got a new picture of Astra for me, which is Kiri's solid white puppy, her firstborn ever. And she's still around. She's almost 14. Just that's the, I think of 14 as the top out age for our breed. Kiki, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's not your place. It's not your place. What are you doing? You just want that. It's not yours. Sorry, sweetie. Gonna pick it up. Yep. Not yours. Nope. Those are not toys for Keeks. Not toys for Keeks. No. You are a dweeb. You're a dweeb. No, you cannot get to the garbage either. It's not yours either. None of it is yours. I have a mischievous puppy. Yeah, Astra. Yeah, she was the white long-haired shepherd with the kind of peach coloration, the apricot coloration. Yeah, she's a pretty girl. But yeah, she's still around. Yeah. There's this smell in here, and it was Kiki's breath, I think, with the pig ear. I'm like, what is that smell? Yeah, she did have, Astra did have a little cancer, just like Kiri had a little cancer, but Astra beat it like Kiri beat it. They found it early enough. And she's now going strong. She will be, let's see, what was that litter's birthday? That litter's birthday actually was Memorial Day that year, so, or the day after Memorial Day. So it was end of, if she makes it to the end of May, she'll be 14. Do a little bit of blending here. And apparently doing pretty well for that age. Uh-oh. Kiki is bringing their ball. Kiki the disruptor today. I can see it. She's just like, so Mom, what do I have to do to get you to ignore your work and play with me? Is that what you're thinking over there, Keeks? Is that why you just dropped a ball in my room? So I'm pretty excited today, guys, because today is the day that I finished the last proofreading edits on my novel, my first book. There we go. So we've got that going on. And for like, I can finally put it down. Like, it'll be done. Like, done. Like, I've thought so many times in the past that this book would be done, and it wasn't done. And now I am certain that it is done. Absolutely dead certain. So once I finish the last 7 chapters of proofing today, I will be able to upload it into my layout program and work on making it pretty. Pretty for when it shows up on people's Kindles. And in softcover and hardcover. So that's like super, super, super exciting. And it's been years I have been working on this sucker, and when I thought it was like ready, when I started submitting it to agents, like it's changed like 4 times. Like I've done 4 edits on it since then. It's a much better book now. If this, honestly, if I had done the editorial process, like if I had engaged those professional editors before I submitted to agents, it would be a different book, and I might have gotten an agent and ended up in a traditional publishing contract, which now I've decided I don't want, so I'm kind of glad. Your Kindle is ready? Yeah, so now I get, over the weekend, I'm working on my front and back matter. So like the program should compile my table of contents, and then I've got, I've got an author's note in there. I've got just the copyright page and stuff like that. And then a link to my website and things like that. So all the stuff you need to be a pro, man. All the stuff you need. So yeah, I'm excited. It's cool. Finally. And it's just like part of me, so many parts of me are so happy about this, just to finally be able to put this book down and concentrate on the next book, because I'm really somebody who needs to concentrate on one thing at a time. Like it just, I can split my attention, but I'm not happy doing so, and I'm not very productive doing so either. Yeah, dedication page. Yeah, I know. I kind of have to dedicate this first one to my mom. And one of the books down the road will probably get dedicated to Ed, because he was just really positive about the whole thing. He was always ready to talk to me about writing and to encourage me. So putting a shadow in there, kind of. You see that little shadow going in, and I'll be tuning that to be a little darker. A little bit of a highlight there on the edge, so we can see this is starting to come along here. I'm definitely doing a burnished metal here instead of a sky earth kind of look. doing a burnished NMM is just a lot more forgiving than doing a really shiny NMM. The closer you get to chrome, the more sanity points you lose. Oh, we're good. It's just I like to, because if you do a long dedication, nobody tends to read it. So for me, I think one person per book. So Ed might get the second book. Although it might be my mom, my brother, and then Ed for the third book. But you know, like my mom and my bro have always believed in me that I would get there. Like, and my brother actually was one of my beta readers. And he does not read a lot, so that was a big thing for him to read my book. But yeah, I'm planning to write a lot of books, so I have a lot of dedications. But Ed will definitely get one. I just don't know when he's going to get one. Mac Attack, he had a heart infection. He essentially I think he had a pacemaker in. I don't remember if he did or he didn't. I know he was on a Holter, an EKG monitor for a while for his heart. I think he had an enlarged heart. I'm not certain. Don't quote me on this. But as I recall, I do know that he passed from a heart infection, however. I'm not sure of the cause of it. I know that they fought it for a bit of time there. He hadn't been feeling well for a couple weeks, but I don't know anything beyond that. But yeah, it would give me great happiness to dedicate one of my books to Ed. I remember him. He was talking about work ethic or something one time apparently, and he was like, to Dave, he was like, look at Anne. She would rather be off writing the next great American novel, but no, she's here working her ass off. It was just funny. And he's right. I would rather be off writing, but now I am kind of off and writing, working. So I get closer. I think my ideal life is to do both, is to do painting, teaching, and writing, all of the above. But yeah, Ed got me. Ed understood. I don't know, Age of Marvel. That's a Quindy question. A Quindy and John question, maybe. Reaper John, if you're listening, John. Owl Bear on the front page that nobody can click on and nobody knows when it goes up. That sound familiar? We'll try to summon John. Oh, that's being released on Monday. There we go. Quindy's got it. Next week. And Inara's got it too. Thank you, Inara and Quindy. So they're teasing you with it, essentially. It's a teaser. That owlbear is such a tease. All right, so now I'm kind of going around looking, and I need to bring up my under reflection too. I've got these areas pretty good. I'm going to connect these little areas down here. Oh, okay, something about it on the stream. Good. Good deal. And I also, this morning, I don't know what it is about mornings, but I get really good idea flow in the morning, and I got a really good idea for the short story that I need to write for my reader magnet. So now I'm kind of excited about it, whereas before I was kind of dreading it, because I don't really enjoy short fiction. It's like they always say you write what you read, and I was never a huge fan of short stories. I always prefer novels. Short stories just isn't enough for me to get into the characters. List for the 16th, says Quindy. Excellent. Yes, it does, Pendrake. Actually, it does. That's the best kind of reader magnet, in my opinion. And in the opinion of most people who talk to you about, who kind of tell you how to write a good one. It's best if you can relate it to the novel. So in my story, there's a bear king, and the story there's also kind of a menacing like NPC toward the end. So in my story, it's a story about the bear king when he was just a bear prince, and the first time that he met the sinister person. So yeah, so it's cool. So it directly, if people are wondering about the mysterious but sinister female persona, they can learn more about her background. And they can learn more because the Bear King is always referring to his earlier travels. He was quite the had quite the fur-raising adventures when he was a younger bear. It's technically the Bear King is one of the. He's not a main character, but he's like right next to the main character. He's the hero, not the protagonist. Although he isn't like technically without flaw. So, but yeah, since he's the companion of one of the main characters, and the entire series is called the Bear Kings, so it's all about the Bear Kings and where they came from and what they're about, and how they are going to influence the future of the Fey worlds, the Brightlands. So in a lot of ways, this is almost Narnia-esque because it is like three teenagers from actually a family plus one more, kind of dragged into their version of the Fey world, and then they're given roles within it, right? Kind of very much like Narnia in that way, except that the normal world is kind of an alternate reality, so it's different. But yeah, so people seem to really like the bear, as far as beta readers went, so I thought, well, I would do a story of his younger days. And the place that the story takes place is a place that the character sees in the first book, like is kind of like traveling through, but when he's traveling through it, it's ruined. And when the story takes place, it's still like intact and has people living in it. Oh yeah, did you heard about the OGL, the OGL thing? Well, I mean, the biggest thing is like, I don't know. I mean, I've got the kind of the worst case scenario brain. I like to kind of look at the future and see like what could go wrong. And if I had been in there, I would have been like, so what happens if WotC changes the OGL, you know? And that's what they're doing, or what was leaked anyway. Yeah, they're definitely targeting people using. Yeah. Yeah, it negates everything. Yeah, it negates the previous agreement entirely, and instead anybody using portions of that war of D&D would then essentially have to submit all their products to WotC for approval, is how I understood it. But I don't know about like approval, quote unquote, what that entails. Approval might mean we look at your product, and if it's too close to competing with ours, we tell you no. All right, so it's really, yeah, it's. If I were Paizo, I would have tried to pivot more and more away from D&D with the second edition. But yeah, it is really going to screw some companies if they put it out as written. Yeah, they're essentially deciding, because in the old days, the old OGL was really generous, guys. Like, it pretty much was 900 words and just said, yeah, go out and prosper. This is the stuff you can use it to make money, we don't care, just get us out there, right? And it helped to get D&D back into the point where people were playing it, you know, like without all those companies like helping to push, like it wouldn't have arguably have gone so far. And but you know, then there comes a day when there's so much money being made off of D&D that the people doing it are like, do we really need all these other people like stealing our money? You know, even though they're not. Technically, Pathfinder's quite different from the current iteration. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Mac Attack. And it always can happen. I don't know if that's true, Miss Dim. I don't know if that they said that it would never happen. The article I read yesterday, I thought didn't really. See, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how that sort of thing is tackled, and I don't know what the wording is, right? Because with law, the wording is very important. Live discussion, interesting. Oh yeah, any big company, Reaper's got a lawyer on staff. Like we have a lawyer on retainer for sure. Like any big company does. Like it's just something you keep around. You keep a lawyer so that you don't have to go finding one at the last minute if there's a problem. But it's like I mean I hate to say with WotC on this, but I mean it is their agreement. It was very generous, and as long as there was nothing, I can't believe they would lock themselves into a this will never change. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're right, Mister. Maybe it is. I need to look very carefully at the wording of the original statement. Because the statement on a website is different from like the actual agreement itself. Irrevocable. Yep. Thank you, Mac Attack. That was what I was going to say. Is you have to look at the wording very carefully. Yeah, exactly. See, no, that's what I think. Is just like, yeah. I don't know, Pendrake. I don't know. Is it very? Is it fifth? Is it OGL based? Is Reaper's RPG OGL based? If it is, then it will actually affect Reaper's thing. I'm trying to get this white to the right consistency here, guys, so I can continue with this. Yeah, and that's yeah, yep. Yeah, I feel like Hasbro's kind of an evil empire at this point, so it's one of those. Yeah, most people couldn't afford to litigate. I agree. I agree, Grace. I mean, last I checked, one of the main owners and founders of Paizo was a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure she knows for sure what her rights are. I don't know. I don't think Paizo actually made a statement. I think Green Ronin did, but I don't think Paizo did. Yeah, I've not been a big supporter of D&D. I mean, I bought the basic books because, I still like D&D, but I haven't poured a lot of money otherwise into D&D. I'm going to bring up a highlight here down the center. Oh, that was a little bit off. There, better. So you want your lights to be going in a predictable direction. Yeah, yep. That's I think Mac, I think you and I think similarly. I think you've got it there. Consolidation of IP. It's rare, very rare for anybody with a very marketable IP to be so lenient as the first OGL. Um, and I mean, even look at Brandon Sanderson. He's got fan rules about what type of products fans can produce and sell related to his IP, right? And he's got a pretty good set of rules. Last I looked at them, very generous in a lot of ways. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, the player base is all like, yeah, yeah. This could be very negative press for them. So we'll see. We'll see. Like, I'm sure that somebody in WotC, I'm sure the reason that that thing didn't come out, because it was supposed to release earlier and it didn't, guys. If you read the article about it, the memo that was leaked was originally dated, I think January 4th, and nobody saw it. But I'm sure there's dissent inside the company about this, and that's probably what you're seeing. So if there's a, and I'm sure that's why it was leaked too, is that somebody wanted an outcry. And to let the fan base know so that WotC couldn't do it in the dark, so to speak. But if WotC, if they're going to lose revenue over it, then it's the opposite result, right? So bottom line, so it still could change. Well, technically, I mean, well, yeah, I guess if you play first edition Pathfinder, then you've already got all the materials, so it doesn't matter. WotC can't come over and take your books, right? So then it's just like if you care about the company that put out the product that you love, right? Yep. You think he thinks that we're testing the waters? That was an intentional leak. Yeah, well, if then the fan base needs to rise up and tell WotC, no, you jerks better not, or we're going to stop buying your stuff, right? Undermonetized. They're trying to figure out angles to make more money with the IP, and to do that, they have to lock it down. I think you're 100% right, Mac, in that is the motivator behind this is that locking down of the IP. I think you're very smart to be thinking about that. It's just regrettable. And I'm going to take that little line. Yep. Yep. Exactly, Inara. Exactly. Yeah, it's sad. It's just, I get tired of it. I just get very tired of all the endless merchandising and money chasing. I mean, on the other hand, like, it's one thing if fans would like stuff, right? It's one thing if you really wish you could buy your kid a D&D lunchbox and there aren't any, right? That's one thing. But if it's just this IP is undermonetized and we could make more off of it, so we're going to lock it down, that's different. I guess it ends up in the same place, but it leaves a different taste in your mouth. Yeah. It's just sad. And I think that with the whole microtransactions thing, it's like subscriptions. I think people are getting more and more sensitive to those these days. And companies are not understanding that yet. Right. Yeah, what are they putting out that is great? Or is it just a money grab, right? Are they really trying to like push the boundaries and put out a great product with D&D? Or are they just saying, is Hasbro just coming along saying, you know what, you don't make as much for us as Monopoly. What could we do to make more money off of you? This brand is not making enough money. You know? Yeah, their minis have always kind of been suck. They never understood the industry, I think. I feel like that's where they fell down with miniatures. It's like, at some level, when you're doing miniatures, you've got to have somebody in the departments that really understands the hobby and really understands the market and just like, you know, and some companies just don't bother. They're just like, nah, people just like to paint these little things. We don't need to actually have, you know, somebody at the helm of this who really gets it. There we go. Now our shoulder pad, or our knee pad is starting to look really nice. But look at all the work I had to put in, guys, to get this, you know, for one thing, to do the blending and to make it look like really cool and to get my reflections right. I still need more down here. So sometimes NMM can, on big areas, like it's actually faster. It'll be faster to do the NMM on this little guy, on the belt buckle. Even though it's intricate, it's going to be faster than doing smooth. Yeah, yeah. Well, Mac Attack, I think that's been a fear for a while, though, right? Like anytime, and this is, we talk about actually in my indie publishing world, they talk about this a lot, because as an independent publisher, you're dependent on your marketplace, right? You're very much. So if you choose to go only into Amazon, all your eggs are in that one basket. Amazon can change the rules at any time. And another reason, another place this comes up is with your website. Like, you don't own the Facebook page that you set up, right? Facebook could change its like rules at any time. So you've got to be ready as an indie published person, as an indie author. You have to be ready to, you know, you should have your own website that you own, you know, your own, you know, website name, and you own, you know, you're it's in your pockets, coming out of you, you own it. And this is the problem with third-party stuff, right? Is you don't own it, and although you might want to trip through the daisies and believe that nothing's ever going to change and that's your ideal world, what if it does? Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, exactly. Same thing with Etsy. You do not own your shop. Do it on your own website. But a lot of people want to use Etsy because it's a pain to have your own shop, right, on your own website. You have to learn how to do it, and there's just logistics, and there's, you know, and there's crap and things you have to set up and you have to learn. And for a lot of people, that's just there's a lot of resistance. You know, it's so much effort and you just would never do it. But with Etsy, you do it. So, yeah, it's the same thing. That's why a smart indie author, like, you know, hopefully I want to be one, is doing their own website and is doing their own mailing list, which is why my reader magnet comes in, because if you want that short story, the only way to get it, it might even turn into a novella. I tend to write long. But the only way to get it is going to be sign up for my mailing list. And that way, no matter what happens, even if my stuff is exclusive to Amazon and Amazon tanks or changes the rules tomorrow, I will have a group of emails that I can let people know, okay, guys, Amazon has kicked me off, and now I'm going to be on, you know, wherever, Kobo. And that's the only way that you can be sane, I think, when you're on this, when you're a freelancer, when you're working with third party sites or third party content. Yep. Yep. Yeah. See, that would be cool. What would be cool there, Beguiler, I would like it if a bunch of those companies worked together and pooled resources. Like, if you want to do a new OGL, get together, create a new system, and that way with all of you, hopefully you've got the resources to like play test it extensively and to grab a huge portion of the audience for that sort of thing, right? And the more people you have play testing and the more audience feedback you have, the better the system can be, and then it's worthy of an OGL, right? It's worthy of being used. So, yeah, generic gaming minis, exactly, Inara. I believe that, don't quote me, I'm not sure, but I was pretty sure that Critical Role did have some sort of agreement at this point. And I know Stranger Things, I'm almost dead certain Stranger Things has an agreement with Hasbro. Almost dead sure. Like, really, really think so. I remember talking to David about this. But I mean, you know what? Critical Role, if they don't actually, like, if they change the name of the spells and they don't, I mean, they already had to kind of rebrand a lot of their stuff and not refer to specific mechanics. I think Critical Role could do it. Yeah, they could switch systems and still get the audience. I mean, as long as it felt like D&D, it's entertaining, right? Because mostly you're not there for the mechanics. When you're listening to Critical Role, you're there to see the crazy stuff that they do and get away with or don't get away with. You know, and plenty of systems have crits and fails, so it's not like, you know, and plenty of systems have roll to hit. So it's not like they're, yeah, they use license names. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I think both of those are fine. Yeah. Stranger Things definitely has a license, right? Yeah. Well, and Stranger Things is an example of how D&D can and Stranger Things might be one of the reasons for all of this, if you think about it. Like, Stranger Things is like, hey, Hasbro, let's make a deal. And Hasbro's like, okay, toss us a bunch of money. And Hasbro gets money, and Stranger Things does their show, and it's really successful. And Hasbro's like, oh, we could do this with more people, you know, that kind of thing. You know what? We derail. I actually wanted to talk about this today because I read about it yesterday. And I kind of made a mental note, bing, that I wanted to talk about it because it affects our hobby. So actually, I consider this to be pretty on topic. All things considered, we're talking about, you know, D&D. Yeah, Crowley, have fun. Yeah, I meant to talk about it because it's interesting, right? It's really, I mean, it makes people mad, but it's also a very interesting thing. Like, times they are a-changing. And like some of you out there, I'm very interested to see what repercussions this has. So what do you think of the knee pad, guys? I think the knee pad's pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool? Pretty cool? I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, yes, I agree, Shadow Raven. We are in a roundhouse and we have no idea which tracks we're going to take. Yep. Yeah. I think that also I'm going to be okay with this. I think it's muted enough that it's going to be okay with all the other colors. So yeah, I think we're okay. Yeah, to get back to painting for a second, right? Yeah, I mean, like I said, it could be that there's still a lot of people in WotC that don't like this idea for the new OGL and that are kind of trying to oppose it. But it sounds like the CEO is very behind doing it, so then their pushback probably won't matter in the end. But if there's enough telegraphing that WotC could lose money over it, that might work. It just really depends, right? The problem here is if WotC's got their eye on movie and TV money, licensing, then that money that they gain is probably a lot more than they will ever lose just from people stopping buying their role-playing aids. And it's sad that way. Yeah, WotC loves a game. It's the Hasbro execs. Right. Yeah, see, that's just it. And I don't know if you could lose enough money from the hobbyists to make an impact on gaining the potential money from licensing. Like, I've got no idea of the scale involved there. So we just gonna start mapping out the tongue in our last few minutes here. So with NMM, and I just did a video on this for my Patreon, patreon.com/paintingbig, the simple rules of NMM. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to figure out either your shadows or your highlights. I'm going to say my top highlight is going to be on the top of the tongue here because it's sticking out past the teeth, right? So you're going to get a little bit of light there. Right under that, you're going to have a dark shadow, and then you're going to have reflected light. So you got to reach for our darker shadows. It doesn't have to be a super dark shadow, but the darker it is, the shinier the surface will look. So I'm going to mix a little brown liner with my oxidized brown and throw a little bit of shadow in here. And also, the more space you have between your highlight and your shadow is going to determine. Like, see here, we've got a lot of space between our high highlight and our shadow. So on the tongue, if I put a hard shadow right under these highlights, it's going to look a lot more shiny than this knee pad. If I want it to look more burnished, then I need to give a little bit of transition between my highlight and my shadow. Well, and Hasbro has been like fighting lately just because like, you know, starting what, 2 decades ago when like the German, so when a lot of the European board game companies really started gathering steam, suddenly there were a lot of people going into board games, which used to be Hasbro's, you know, lion-sized business, and they were doing it better than Hasbro, right? Hasbro was still trying to like coast on the same stuff. Yeah. Right. See, that's it. If you hollow out the core hobbyist from the game, how long does that tree bear fruit? And that's the short-sighted part, right? That's the part where, yeah, where you might shoot yourself in the foot. Yep. And companies do it all the time. They shoot themselves in the foot. So I'll put a little bit of a transition in there by the tongues just to give us a softer look. Hello, hello. Up, Heckmanistan. Okay. Hello. We're doing non-metallic metal today on the knee pad, and I was just starting on the little face up here. But we've also been talking about the whole Hasbro, WotC, OGL thing a little bit. And we were talking about dogs and cats. Because we talk a lot about dogs and cats on the stream, since I have a new puppy and we have lots of cat and dog lovers. But yeah. But today I'm just like, now I'm going to do a little reflected light. So at the bottom of this tongue, it's not actually sticking out, but it'll get some reflected light from the cloudy smoke here and from the leg. It'll get a lot of that. Yeah, I wanted to talk about it today. Like they were apologizing for derailing my stream with it, Heckman, but in reality, I actually wanted to talk about it because it's a very interesting thing. It's a very interesting thing. So a little bit of highlight all the way down. That doesn't look right, so I didn't mean to quite get all that way. So I can try to scuff that out with my brush to see if I can take out. Yeah, I can. When the paint hasn't fully set, you can actually just scrub off that paint with your brush. TSR had a whole different problem, Polly. TSR was like hemorrhaging money right and left when it was bought out by WotC. Hemorrhaging money. So badly. Terrible business decisions. Like, that was a mismanaged company. The WotC thing actually, I think, saved D&D, frankly. Eventually. I mean, ask any of the artists that got totally taken advantage of and not paid for their artwork when TSR was still around. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Inara has it too. Yeah. Yeah, you're close to people in the industry. Yeah, I mean, I think we've been kind of like, been talking a bit about the legal stuff. I mean, it is well within their rights to do it, certainly. I feel like when you're a third-party company, you have to kind of always have it in the back of your head that you may not have this this thing forever. But maybe they didn't. Maybe they believed that it would be forever. I have no idea. It seems short-sighted to be caught out, but then I'm a strategist, so my brain is always like looking for worst case scenarios and being prepared for them. Like that's like an intrinsic part of my personality, is being prepared for what could go wrong. So even though I look at this aghast and go, surely Paizo and Green Ronin and all of them had some sort of plan for this, it's very possible that they didn't. If they didn't have somebody like me sitting there going, but, you know, if. Yeah. Yeah, Begather, it's kind of like the flip-flop, right? Yep. That's why, and to just bring a different evil empire in for a moment, that's why when Games Workshop got their new CEO, and he was a guy who used to work in their retail stores, like he had come all the way up from just being a normal store manager. I thought that was the best thing that Games Workshop could have done, because finally they had somebody in the top slot who really understood today's like tabletop gaming like market and audience, like finally. So here we go. So yeah, it's, even though GW is still technically an evil empire, but that's more because of its shareholders and less because of the people running it, I think. That's the problem with going public. Once you are publicly traded, that opens the door for the evil, because then all people care about is money. Return on investment, ROI. That's when things get ucky, in my opinion, you know. In my opinion, but then I've tended to be attracted to working for companies that avoided going public like the plague. Like Ed never wanted Reaper 2. Yeah, you like it? I kind of like it too. It's rich. It's got a rich tone to it. Yeah, I know, Zombie Apocalypse. We still don't have that one covered, right, Mac? Yeah, that's like, if you're a strategic thinker, you're always in the back of your head, you're like, what happens if this? What happens if that? You know, you can see a problem. If you're the type who can see the problem with any plan in advance, like that's the kind of thinker that yeah, I am, and like you are. It's funny. It's a particular type of brain that does it. Yeah, so just to go back to like remind people of the colors I was using, I'm using Ruddy Brown, the old one, but this is the same as the modern oxidized or oxide brown from the Kickstarter. So 9333, I believe, is the item number. And then Lantern Yellow, and we're using a bit of brown liner for the darkest shadow, and to mix into our Ruddy Brown is to take it down a little bit. It would be a lot more red if I let this really take over. And then it's more additional Lantern Yellow and Pure White. So this is really only a four color gold. It's just like mixes. And the palette looks like that. So if you don't count the Pure White, you have pretty much a pentad. You could also just not count that and count this as a pentad. So I always, when I'm doing a 5 colors progression, is often I just drop off the shadow or the highlight. Like it's actually a 6 color, but you know you're going to have, with NMM, you know you're going to have a near white up there, and you know you're going to have really dark. So actually, if I was doing this one, I probably would drop that off and do the pentad like this. And in reality, there might be I was doing a bit of mixing with this to this. So yeah, Lantern Yellow, if you want to do a really, really rich gold, poppy gold, I just think you want it. You want that color. Yeah, there's nobody like Ed. Ed knew what he was doing. Ed came from the early hobby, but Ed was also open to like researching the current hobby and talking to people about the hobby. As you all know, Ed was a great one to talk about the hobby with everybody. And so he had some definite opinions about it, but even with Ed, he could come off as, no, this is the way it is. But then he would take time to think about what you said. And it would kind of turn over in his head. And he would come back around to you, and he'd be talking about like the thing that you had brought up. And he might actually have internalized it unconsciously and not remembered that you said it. But it still shows that like Ed listened and he talked. Like he did both. Even if he really had a very strong vision for a thing, if you made a point that was valid, he would still think about it. So Ed was a very rare personality. Oh, and it's about 10 after, so I guess I started a little late, so I wanted to go a little late. But you can see, here, let's go. So here we've got our little, so we've got our top spot highlight, our little white up here, but then we've got a little bit of that yellow underneath it right there, see? And then we go down to the dark. So if we do that, if we do our white, but then we've got a little bit of yellow in here, and then we hit our dark, that's how you get that burnished color, where it's not a super chrome shiny, it's more of a softer, as if it's a hammered metal. It's got like a micro texture on it. That's how you're getting that burnished, soft, kind of frosted look. And I like that I think it's a lot easier to do that on bigger pieces than the Sky Earth, especially if you're not really confident with your highlight and shadow placement. Sky Earth can just be like, it'll break you. But doing, hi Kiki, do you want to come up and say hi to people? Do you want to come up? Come on up. Can you come up? No. Here, hold on. Let me see if I can get the dog let up here. Get on your chair. Get on your chair. Come on, pop up. Pause up. Yeah. There we go. Come on, look up here. Good girl. Good girl. Kiki says, thank you for watching, everybody. Tomorrow we'll be working on our Necromancer, who we are painting in a lot of different blacks. And I just thought I'd give you a Kiki to end the show today. Yes, the Kiki. Hi there, Keekster. What's this? What's this? There's the ears. Good girl. All right, guys. Oh yeah, like the paint lasts a long time if you shake them every couple of years. Just make sure you shake them. They fall out of solution otherwise, or they can over time. So yes, everybody, thank you for coming. Kiki, don't eat the genie. And I will be back tomorrow morning, guys, and I'll see you then. Right, Keeker? Good girl. Okay, off. Good girl. Perfect. Yay. Now she's excited. All right, you guys. I'll hang it. You guys have a fantastic Thursday. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.